AEW have just found themselves in a lawsuit. In fact, AEW and CM Punk have reunited once again, as they are both at the tail end of this lawsuit, being sued by none other than Ryan Nemeth, former AEW talent, current TNA talent, and the brother of Nick Nemeth, aka Dolph Ziggler. And this lawsuit is quite something, as somehow we are in the end of February 2025 and old CM Punk AEW drama is coming up in the news once again. So how did we get to this point? How did drama between Ryan Nemeth and CM Punk in AEW all the way back in 2023 lead to a lawsuit in 2025? To talk about that and figure that out, we have to go back to the very start. So like the video and let's just get into it. Ryan Nemeth and CM Punk were both in AEW during the same period of time, though both of them are now in AEW no longer. For Ryan Nemeth, he made his AEW debut on the January 27th, 2021 Dynamite in a losing effort to Adam Page, and then he started making more appearances for AEW across both TV and on Dark, as it was revealed that Nemeth had signed to AEW, and Nemeth's AEW signing came after a stellar 10+ year career, having worked across the Indies and even having a run in WWE, where he worked for FCW and NXT for a couple of years. And Ryan, now in AEW, would become an active member of the AEW Dark roster, where early on in his AEW career, he would pick up wins on Dark regularly and have the occasional Dynamite match. Of course, he was a jobber on TV and was mostly a mainstay on Dark, which is where he would also form an alliance with the team known as the Pretty Picture, aka Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi, who were then joined by JD Drake as they officially formed the Wingmen. And the Wingmen, whilst they were a complete jobber stable, personally, I thought they were a pretty fun act. They were a stable of Rizzlers, but Ryan Nemeth and the rest of the Wingmen were pretty much in dark purgatory, and their TV appearances were very limited, and any time they were on TV for the next few years was just to get squashed, or to be faces in a battle royal. But in 2023, he would start working for Ring of Honor alongside his Wingman teammate Peter Avalon as a tag team. However, this did not last long, and he would fizzle out of the company and depart AEW near the end of 2023. And as for CM Punk, I think we all know his story already. Do I really need to go over CM Punk in AEW again in 2025? Punk's AEW run started in September 2021 and ended in September 2023, and his run, in my opinion, was a very good one, but as good as his work was, it will mostly be remembered for the numerous conflicts and backstage dramas that he found himself in. He had issues with many people backstage in AEW, and one of those people was Ryan Nemeth, of all people. Ryan Nemeth was closely affiliated with the Elite and part of the Being the Elite series and universe, I guess. And he had taken some jabs at CM Punk during the Fallout to Brawlout. I remember him putting out a tweet calling CM Punk soft just randomly out of the blue. This would lead to a confrontation between the two at the June 21st, 2023 Dynamite, where reportedly Punk confronted Nemeth, asked if he wants to take this outside, and quizzed him on his tweets about him, with Nemeth replying that they were tweets in character. Reportedly, Nemeth, however, apologized and him and Punk shook hands, so seemingly it was resolved, and all seemed well until the August 13th collision, where Ryan Nemeth would turn up to the taping only to be sent home, because reportedly CM Punk didn't want him there. And that was more or less the end of it, or at least that was our impression that that was the end of it at the time, as both men departed AEW shortly after, with Ryan Nemeth going to TNA and CM Punk of course returning to WWE. And we never heard about this drama between the two of them ever again, nor did we expect to, but that was until December 2024 when reports came out that a formal complaint filed by Ryan Nemeth to AEW executives and HR regarding CM Punk had just leaked. This was a formal complaint that was sent in September 2023, so around the time that everything was going down, maybe around the time that CM Punk had just been terminated with his AEW contract. I made it sound like AEW killed him there. I didn't mean to say it like that. In the document, Ryan Nemeth claims to have been mistreated by Punk, and when he came to AEW with his concerns, he was ignored. The document shows claims of AEW threatening legal action over the situation, and he alleges that AEW told him to antagonize CM Punk in a promo. He also talks about his belief that he was held responsible for Punk's firing, and that he was also offered a settlement worth about 3 years of his salary. That is, if he signed an NDA. There's some interesting claims made by Ryan Nemeth in this formal complaint, and it's an interesting read for sure, but all it really served to people was just some extra lore to CM Punk's AEW run. It was a complaint from September 2023. A whole year prior, it kind of just served as a piece of history, really, and I don't think anybody expected this whole thing to be taken any further. AEW never commented on it or responded to it publicly, nor did Ryan Nemeth after it was leaked. And once again, nobody expected to see anything further with this. CM Punk in AEW feels like light years ago, and surely all the drama isn't going to be rehashed again. Well, just yesterday, as of recording on the 23rd of February, a filing was discovered for a lawsuit by Fightful, a lawsuit filed on February 14th in Los Angeles by Ryan Nemeth against AEW and CM Punk. The suit alleges assault, breach of contract, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, and intentional interference with prospective advantage. Yes, that's right, I said Ryan Nemeth filed a suit against AEW and CM Punk. AEW and CM Punk on the same team. CM Punk was going back to court for another lawsuit with a wrestler again, and not only that, but he's going to court on the same side as AEW. What is this rehash? Like, of all things to get CM Punk to reunite with AEW, it's being sued by Dolph Ziggler's brother. And I'm sorry, but this lawsuit is hilarious, to be honest. And don't get me wrong, I respect Ryan Nemeth as a wrestler, but this lawsuit is just laughable. And if you don't believe me, then listen to this opening statement. Ryan Nemeth is a successful actor, comedian, and stuntman. Nemeth also followed his older brother Nick's career and has established himself as a star performer on the professional wrestling circuit. Nemeth was under contract with AEW. AEW is owned by Shahid and Tony Khan. Shahid Khan is the owner of the NFL franchise Jacksonville Jaguars. When his son Tony managed to alienate most of everyone within the Jaguars organization, including NFL star players, Tony was moved to a leadership role in the Khan family-owned Fulham Football Club. Tony ended up mismanaging Fulham, leading to multiple lawsuits against the club. Since he was a child, Tony loved professional wrestling and had an obsession with certain wrestlers. The Khan family formed AEW to provide Tony with something to do, safely away from the family's other ventures. Tony serves as AEW's chief executive officer. Wow. The opening statement also says about CM Punk here, Phil Brooks was another wrestler under contract with AEW and a member of the AEW management team. Tony had a deep fascination with Brooks. Brooks undertook a campaign to terrorize and intimidate plaintiff, including physical assault. AEW and Tony Khan did nothing to protect Ryan Nemeth and other wrestling performers from despicable conduct on the part of Brooks. AEW turned a blind eye to Brooks' conduct because of Tony's deep admiration for Brooks and because he was their most popular wrestling performer. At Brooks and Tony's insistence, AEW and Tony Khan have undertaken an effort to blackball Nemeth so he can never work again in the wrestling business. There's more notes from the lawsuit. I'm not going to go over this word by word every single line. If you want to see the full thing, I'll link the Fightful article down below, but we'll give a summary of this whole thing here. It starts off by talking about the brawl-out incidents and CM Punk's suspension from AEW and his return with AEW Collision and him having a management role within AEW Collision. He continuously talks about Tony Khan's deep feelings for CM Punk. Then he goes on to talk about the issues he's had personally with CM Punk and their confrontation. He confirms there was one on the June 21st, 2023 Dynamite, where CM Punk asked, "Do we have a problem? Do we need to step outside and handle this like men?" He said that CM Punk had an issue with him for no reason and that he was known for having issues with people for no reason, reason, and that he took no punishment for this confrontation and for assaulting him. He says he got benched from AEW as a result of this, as he continuously talks about Tony Khan's deep admiration for CM Punk and how he went along with CM Punk's desires to ruin Ryan Nemeth's career. He then talks about when CM Punk apparently kicked him out of an AEW Collision taping and how embarrassed he was to be kicked out in front of the roster and the fans. He then talks about his departure from AEW and how he continued to follow up with AEW's legal department, which I think he is referring to that aforementioned complaint he filed here. And then he talks about when CM Punk left AEW, and I will read these here because how on earth have these made this in the lawsuits? On November 25th, 2024, Brooks left AEW to wrestle for the organization's main competitor, WWE. Khan was heartbroken by the departure of Brooks, his idol that he adored in every way. Khan was furious with Nemeth. Khan believes that Brooks left AEW because of Nemeth. The defendants have embarked upon a campaign to blackball Nemeth from professional wrestling. Specifically, Tony Khan blames Nemeth for Brooks leaving AEW and has used his significant resources to make sure that Nemeth can never make a living in wrestling. And that's about everything. Nemeth is seeking damages and compensation and punitive and demands a jury trial. And yeah, overall, it's an interesting read, don't get me wrong. There's some big claims in that lawsuit, but I gotta say, I'll get this out the way, I don't see this lawsuit going very far, to be honest. It's a very informal lawsuit. A lot of the info on it is wrong with incorrect dates. For example, CM Punk didn't return to WWE on November 25th, 2024, it was 2023. And yeah, I just don't see it going very far. So far, this lawsuit doesn't have a case number and isn't officially listed online, so who knows if this is even gonna go through. So I guess we'll wait and see, but regardless, this lawsuit, like I said, is just absolutely hilarious. The full thing is linked down below if you want to see it on the Fightful article. And yeah, before we do end off this video, I do want to address what I already know the comments are gonna be filled with. I already know there's gonna be so many comments like, now make a video on the WWE lawsuit. Where's a video on the WWE lawsuit? So let me just address that. There are two videos here where I address the lawsuit and talk about it and everything that went on with it for that time. I haven't made any updates on it because I don't really do videos like that, making updates on lawsuits in wrestling. I've done the same thing with the other AEW lawsuit involving the Boys and Kevin Kelly. I made a video talking about it at the start of it, and I don't feel the need to really make update videos on it. Obviously, if you want my take on the entire thing, I think Vince McMahon just needs to go on a rocket and live on the sun. But yeah, just getting that out the way at the end of the video because I already know there's going to be so many comments talking about that. I highly doubt I make a follow-up video on this lawsuit either for any updates there is on this as well. But if you did enjoy this video, then be sure to like it and comment down below your thoughts on the entire Ryan Nemeth AEW CM Punk lawsuit drama and situation. And subscribe with notifications on so you never miss a video. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye and keep on rolling.